Angela Merkel, the sinner who brought Islam to Europe. Looking at the images above, along with the title of the video, you probably know who the main character we are talking about today is, right? That person is none other than Angela Merkel, the Iron Lady who has led the country for 16 years. It is no exaggeration to say that she is the face of the most typical and powerful woman in the world at the beginning of the 21st century. But the truth is, this person is not like what you imagine. I know, many people still have sympathy for her image. However, today, let's find out with us what can be called her true legacy. And without further ado, let's get started. 4. That's the number that best sums up this woman. Why 4, you ask? It's simple, because 4 terms is the amount of time that Angela Merkel has led the most powerful and richest country in Europe. And not only that, Germany is also the locomotive of the entire EU. The influence of German language and customs on the old continent is something that no one needs to question anymore. That is also why the position of the head of state of Germany, like Mrs. Merkel, is also among the top of the global server. It is no coincidence that Miss Merkel was voted the most influential person in the world by Time magazine in 2015. Not only does she hold great power, Miss Merkel also possesses the ability to attract people in a very unique and distinctive way. Unlike her predecessor and colleague, Miss Merkel did not come from wealthy West Germany. Instead, Angela Merkel grew up in the German Democratic Republic, or East Germany as it was commonly known. Growing up in a well-educated and studious family, Merkel was a good student and diligently participated in group activities. And it was her early social experiences that became the foundation for the future of the woman born in 1954. The year 1989 saw a momentous event, not only for Germany but also for the world. The Berlin Wall fell, and the Germans reunited after decades of brothers pointing guns at each other. It was a momentous day for this remarkable nation and also a turning point for Mrs. Merkel. At that time, she was working at the East German Academy of Sciences with a doctorate in theoretical physics. However, East Germany and the Eastern European diplomatic bloc collapsed, which meant that people like her would lose their position, because the government was now in the hands of West Germany. And so she made a 180-degree change from science to politics. Thanks to her father's Christian background, she joined the Christian Democratic Union Party. Here her career path advanced like a kite in the wind. With the support of Chancellor and party colleague Helmut Kohl, Merkel rose from party leader in 2000 to Chancellor just half a decade later, becoming the most powerful woman in Europe at the age of 51. Her potential is truly immeasurable. Mrs. Merkel has a very unique and special charm. For the first and only time in the history of this iron nation, they have a female leader. However, Mrs. Merkel has never tried to build her image as an iron lady ready to blow up anyone's fire. Instead, she attracts people with her calm and gentle personality, her kindness and warmth. When looking at Merkel, people always have a look like a grandmother in the countryside waiting for her grandchildren to come back to visit. She is also known for her integrity. She does not go on expensive shopping sprees and lives in a modest apartment in Berlin. She does her own shopping and sometimes even walks to work. It is a natural talent that only she can do, and it is also the secret that helps her stay in power for so long. Because it seems that every decision she makes comes from love, at least to her supporters. At least she had 4 consecutive terms in office spanning the first decade of the 20th century, with some successes. One could list her successes. But the indisputable fact is that Merkel's approach is moderate and avoids extreme decisions. This has helped her attract support from both the left and the right. She has also avoided personal conflicts and has always sought to reconcile within her party and on the international stage. And this is what has made her a villain in the eyes of many Germans today, and in Europe more broadly. It is Merkel's extreme conservatism that has kept Germany in place. And in this era of a flat, lightweight world, standing still means falling behind. And it is not just domestically that this has affected Europe, as the locomotive has lost its dynamism. There are 2 major issues that Merkel has had that have had serious consequences not only for Germany, but also for all of Europe, including the heavy immigration on society, the economy, and finally, military power. At first glance, she has seen all the important core issues. So specifically, what has she done during her 16 years in the US? In 2015, Merkel had a dream of love, a dream that made her open the borders of Germany and Europe to waves of uncooperative immigrants, without restrictions and without conditions. Her classic line, that we can do it, was the reason she gave for flooding her country and the western part of Europe with millions of new immigrants from Africa, Afghanistan, Syria, and other Muslim countries. Yet it seemed impossible for her to think that it was the people and countries on the other side who were glad to be rid of them. She did not even consider that they were mostly men of military age, who did not speak German, did not want to learn, were illiterate, or had little literacy. Moreover, they do not know how to integrate or assimilate into German society. Merkel also forgets that the Turks who came here 30-40 years ago and stayed to work could not integrate into German society. However, all these nightmares originated from this woman with a kind appearance. And she was indeed kind. She opened her arms and welcomed everyone regardless of their background. On New Year's Eve 2015-2016, the city of Cologne was shaken by a gang rape of dozens of women by about 1,000 refugees and illegal immigrants from the Middle East and North Africa, despite the evidence of these monsters committing crimes from the West. However, the police were helpless because of the disgusting reason that arresting those people was against the Prime Minister's policy of welcoming them. And then the crazy spiral is increasingly dividing Germans. They are divided by the harsh reality where their country is being defiled while the authorities, specifically Mrs. Merkel and the deposed, still open their borders to welcome everyone every day. And the numbers keep making outsiders dizzy because of Mrs. Merkel's generosity and anger-inducing compassion. While the countries of Southern Europe receive less than 400,000 refugees each year, Germany receives more than 1 million people each year. And who can guarantee that tragedies like those in Cologne and Berlin during Christmas 2024 will not be repeated? And coincidentally, whether intentionally or unintentionally, the nightmare of anti-Semitism has once again become hot in Germany. But this time, the fire of hatred is not coming from anti-Germans like during World War II. So where is it coming from? Nowhere else, thanks to the influx of Muslim refugees and immigrants right on the island. In 2015, Berlin Police Chief Barbara Slowik warned that there were some neighborhoods where the majority of residents were of Arab origin. There are areas where open anti-Semitism exists that I would advise Jews to tread with caution. The wheel of history is indeed cruel and unpredictable. Think about the contradiction. In the city where the cream-bearded Führer had once planned a gas chamber for the Jews of Europe, the chief of police was now warning Jews about their own safety. What a hypocrisy. And Germany's open border policy, combined with a rise in foreign crime, has fueled a resurgence of far-right parties that have turned their attention to immigrants. They have seen a surge in support and a new round of violence in a country of ironclad men. But they not be enough to offset the economic debacle that Merkel has caused. Growing up in East Germany, where the ideology of thrift was central to her life, Merkel was deeply influenced by this, and it even became an obsession for her. I would still praise the austerity policy during the economic crisis of 2008 as a good decision in the midst of a great wave. But her success in saving has come at a cost to Germany and Europe, with the decline of countries like Spain and Greece we have seen. Her dogmatism on balanced budgets has stifled investment and innovation in a period of financial excess when interest rates were at historically low levels. And she has continued to push for irrational austerity instead of taking on the massive debt needed to renovate and upgrade Germany's aging and outdated infrastructure. As a result, Germans have turned thrift into a sport. There have been many occasions when diplomats have visited Germany and been served half-finished food and undrinkable beer at state receptions. It is also the Germans, and more specifically Mrs. Merkel, who want to prove that they are champions of thrift. Next, Merkel has destroyed Germany's relatively stable energy base with a policy called the Energiewende, or energy transition. This is where Merkel really leaves the rubble. More specifically, after the Fukushima nuclear power plant disaster in Japan in 2011, it took her just 3 months to push through a plan to shut down all of Germany's nuclear power plants by 2022. Remember that nuclear power supplies more than 30% of Germany's electricity. At the same time, coal-fired power plants are also scheduled to close. Her goal is to develop clean energy. But anything that is too big and too unbalanced can cause a crisis. The lack of immediate electricity supply, combined with the additional costs of building renewable energy, has given Europe's largest economy the 4th highest electricity prices in the EU. Energy prices are the main reason that countless industrial groups have given for closing operations in Germany and moving to the US. Yet Merkel has consistently resisted calls within her party to restart nuclear reactors. She says Germany must remain nuclear-free to encourage the rest of the world. Really? Germany's energy transition should be seen as an example of what not to do around the world, not the other way around. It's still the energy story. Mrs. Merkel clearly has public opposition to the energy story. Therefore, she needs to solve the painful EU issue for the people as quickly as possible. And so the idea of a Nord Stream pipeline directly to Russia began to take shape. Despite the objections of a number of allies, the anxiety grew. She allowed German companies to sign on to participate in Nord Stream 2 in 2015, that is, a year after Putin took over Crimea and invaded the Donbass region of Ukraine. Of course, I am not against countries getting closer to each other. But the question is, what happens if Russia cuts off oil in a dispute between the two sides? Yes. And now the truth is that Germany is extremely dependent on Russia for energy. The figure peaked at 50% before the Ukraine conflict, and Germans' frustration was reinforced by the statement by German Economy Minister Robert Habeck that the pipeline would never be operational if tensions continued to escalate and would be a disaster. The project was a mistake from the start. What Germany and Europe feared was dependence on Russian oil. And unfortunately, it has become a reality. Thanks to the excessive thriftiness of their beloved grandmother, Angela Merkel. Europe has been through 3 cold winters, where people dare not turn on the heater as comfortably as their parents did. Russia cutting off oil also means disaster. I will choose to end today's video with the image at the beginning of the video. Merkel snatched the German flag from a comrade and threw it away. It turned out that Merkel did not care about her country, but only about power. She never uttered the word fatherland and threw the German flag in the trash. Germany is simply the place where the dream of a power-hungry physicist can come true. A typical East German is no less fitting. What do you think of this woman? Let us know in the comments below. Now goodbye, and see you again.